Imagine, for a moment, standing at the crossroads of your life, where each decision, every action, shapes not just your present, but the future you have yet to experience. Intentional living isn't just about making a choice, it's about forging a path. What if I told you that the key to unlocking personal growth lies not in the frantic chase of success, but in the deliberate, conscious choices you make each day? What if your most powerful tool is your ability to align your actions with your deepest values, fostering a sense of peace and fulfillment unlike any other? This isn't just another concept, it's a way of life. One where your time is spent intentionally, your energy focused, and your growth inevitable. In the quiet moments of life, away from the noise, there exists an opportunity to reflect deeply on who we are and what we wish to become. This space, where we slow down and become fully present, is the beginning of intentional living. It's a life where actions are not governed by impulse or external pressures, but by careful consideration of what truly matters. At the heart of intentional living is the understanding that we are all responsible for our own personal growth. This growth is not a destination but a journey that stretches across our entire lifetime. And like any journey, it requires direction. Without it, we risk drifting aimlessly, allowing the demands and distractions of modern life to pull us away from our core values. But where does this path lead? To personal growth. Growth that is not merely about achieving external success, but about nurturing the inner self. It's about discovering who we are at our essence and creating a life that reflects this truth. Personal growth, when aligned with intentional living, becomes more than self-improvement. It becomes a commitment to live authentically, aligned with our purpose, our values, and our long-term vision. Before we dive into the specifics, let's explore why intentional living is critical in today's fast-paced world. In a society that celebrates busyness, many of us are constantly overwhelmed, caught in the grind, feeling a sense of perpetual motion but no real progress. Slow living offers an antidote to this. It invites us to step off the treadmill, to simplify, to focus on what truly matters. Slow living and intentional living are not about doing less for the sake of laziness. They are about doing less to create space for more meaning. When we slow down, we notice things we might otherwise overlook: our habits, our thought patterns, our relationships, and our goals. Simple living, similarly, encourages us to strip away the excess, the distractions, and the unnecessary possessions that clutter our lives. By decluttering not just our homes but our minds, we make room for personal growth. We become more intentional with our time, our energy, and our focus. This isn't about perfection or extreme minimalism. It's about making choices that support our personal growth, our well-being, and our happiness. In many ways, this resonates deeply with Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that encourages us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. When we live intentionally, we take control of the one thing that is truly ours, our actions. We become aware of how our choices shape our life experiences, and this awareness is the first step toward living in alignment with our values. One of the most profound ways that intentional living promotes personal growth is by encouraging us to make deliberate and purposeful decisions. In a world filled with endless options, distractions, and temptations, it's easy to find ourselves making choices that aren't aligned with our long-term goals or values. Intentional living asks us to pause, to think before we act. When we practice deliberate decision-making, we step into our own power. We are no longer victims of circumstance or whims. Instead, we become architects of our own lives. This form of living requires a high level of self-awareness and self-discipline. It requires us to regularly reflect on our choices and ask ourselves, is this truly in alignment with my long-term vision for myself? In Stoicism, this aligns with the concept of living according to nature, making choices that are in harmony with our true selves. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus often spoke of the importance of focusing on what is within our control. When we live intentionally, we focus on what we can influence, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. By doing so, we lay the foundation for personal growth. When you live deliberately, every action becomes a statement of your values. You decide where to invest your time and energy, and in doing so, you ensure that your daily decisions contribute to your long-term growth. This level of purpose transforms your day-to-day life into a meaningful journey, where each step brings you closer to becoming the person you aspire to be. Another powerful aspect of intentional living is the deep sense of fulfillment and satisfaction it brings. Many people chase success, hoping that once they achieve their goals, they will feel happy and content. Yet, time and time again, we see that external success, wealth, accolades, status, rarely brings lasting happiness. Why? Because true fulfillment comes not from what we achieve, but from how we live. When we live intentionally, we focus on the process, not just the end result. We find joy in the journey itself. Every decision, every action becomes an opportunity to express our values, our creativity, and our purpose. This brings a deep sense of satisfaction that external rewards simply cannot provide. In the context of Stoicism, this fulfillment comes from living a virtuous life. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca believe that true happiness comes from living in alignment with our values, specifically, the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. When we live intentionally, we cultivate these virtues in our own lives. And as we do, we experience the deep fulfillment that comes from knowing we are living a life that is true to who we are. At the heart of intentional living is the idea of alignment, ensuring that our actions reflect our core values. Many people live their lives out of sync with their values, often without even realizing it. They may say they value family, but spend all their time at work. They may say they value health, but neglect exercise and proper nutrition. Living intentionally asks us to constantly check in with ourselves. Is this action in alignment with my values? Am I living in a way that reflects what truly matters to me? This kind of self-reflection is essential for personal growth. It helps us course-correct when we stray from our path and ensures that we are living a life that feels authentic and meaningful. Stoicism, too, emphasizes the importance of aligning our actions with our principles. For the Stoics, the ultimate goal was to live a life of virtue, where every decision, every action was in accordance with nature and reason. This kind of alignment brings a deep sense of peace because we know that we are living in harmony with our true selves. When we live in alignment with our values, we become more resilient. We are less likely to be swayed by external pressures or the opinions of others. Instead, we are grounded in our own truth, and this inner strength propels us forward on our path of personal growth. Intentional living naturally cultivates self-discipline, an essential trait for personal growth. When we commit to living with purpose, we also commit to the daily habits and actions that support our long-term vision. This requires a great deal of discipline, especially in a world full of distractions and temptations. Self-discipline is not about willpower alone. It's about creating systems and routines that make it easier to stay on track. It's about designing your environment in a way that supports your goals, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, and making the decision to show up for yourself every single day. For the Stoics, self-discipline was one of the key virtues. They believed that mastering oneself was the key to freedom. When we live intentionally, we free ourselves from the impulses and desires that pull us away from our goals. We become the masters of our own destiny, not through sheer force of will, but through consistent, deliberate action. This kind of self-discipline doesn't just lead to personal growth, it leads to personal transformation. Over time, our small daily actions add up to significant progress. And as we continue to commit to our goals, we build confidence in our ability to create the life we desire. One of the greatest gifts of intentional living is the opportunity for continuous learning and self-improvement. When we approach life with intention, we become lifelong students, constantly seeking to grow, evolve, and improve ourselves. Intentional living encourages us to see every experience, every challenge, as an opportunity for learning. It asks us to remain open to new ideas, to embrace change, and to approach life with a sense of curiosity. This mindset of growth is essential for personal development. In Stoicism, this idea is mirrored in the concept of amor fati, loving one's fate. The Stoics believe that everything that happens to us, both good and bad, is an opportunity for growth. When we live intentionally, we adopt this mindset. We stop resisting the challenges that come our way and instead ask, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? Intentional living also encourages us to seek out knowledge and wisdom actively. Whether through reading, conversations, or personal reflection, we are constantly expanding our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This thirst for knowledge fuels our personal growth and keeps us moving forward on our journey. Regret is one of the most painful emotions we can experience, yet it is often the result of living on autopilot, of making decisions without fully considering their long-term impact. Intentional living helps minimize regrets by encouraging us to focus on what truly matters. When we live with purpose, we are less likely to get caught up in distractions and more likely to make choices that we can feel proud of. In Stoicism, there is a strong emphasis on living in the present moment and making the most of the time we have. The Stoic philosopher Seneca famously said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Intentional living is about using our time wisely, spending it on the things that matter most and avoiding the distractions that pull us away from our path. This doesn't mean that we will never make mistakes or experience regret. But when we live intentionally, we can rest easy knowing that we are making choices that align with our values and our vision for the future. This kind of peace of mind is invaluable and is one of the greatest gifts of intentional living. Finally, intentional living strengthens the connection between our short-term actions and our long-term vision. Many people struggle with staying motivated because they cannot see how their daily actions are contributing to their long-term goals. But when we live intentionally, we become acutely aware of how each small decision plays a role in our larger journey. This connection between the present and the future is essential for personal growth. It reminds us that every action we take today is an investment in our future selves. Whether it's the choice to exercise, meditate, read, or spend time with loved ones, each decision brings us one step closer to the life we want to create. In Stoicism, this is reflected in the idea of memento mori, remembering our mortality. The Stoics believe that by keeping our long-term vision in mind, we would make better use of our time and live more fully in the present. When we live intentionally, we cultivate this awareness. We stop wasting time on things that do not serve our goals and focus instead on what truly matters. In a world filled with distractions, living intentionally is a revolutionary act. It requires us to slow down, to reflect, and to make choices that align with our values and long-term goals. But the rewards are immense. By living intentionally, we cultivate personal growth, deepen our sense of fulfillment, and create a life that is meaningful and authentic. The journey of personal growth is ongoing, and intentional living is the roadmap that guides us along the way. So, ask yourself today, what choices can I make to live more intentionally? How can I align my actions with my deepest values? The answers to these questions hold the key to your personal transformation. If you're ready to take the first step toward intentional living and personal growth, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Together, we'll explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, the art of simple living, and the power of living with purpose. Don't wait. Start living intentionally today.